Well, g'day, folks. Today we'll be speaking to a two-time Winter Olympian and four-time world champion in the sport of snowboarding. Her name is Belle Brockhoff. Before we do that, though, just a shout-out to Carly Post from the Digital Athlete. She introduced me to Belle and does a great job of empowering and also educating athletes in the world of social media. So well done to Carly and keep up the great work there. Also a shout-out to DG Sports and Glenn, who organised this great logo, as you can see there on the t-shirt for Legends with Bevo.
Welcome to Legends with Bevo. Thanks to the Holdy Hotel, Coopers and Anytime Fitness Glenelg.
Belle Brockhoff, great to have you on Legends with Bevo. How are you going over there at the moment with this social isolation situation, especially being a snowboarder and no ski fields open?
Yeah, going pretty good actually. Like we were lucky to get our season over and done with before all the lockdowns happened. So that was good. We came home and we did a 2-week isolation period, and now we're just training in the gym. I mean, most of our training is actually in the gym, and then whenever we can get some on snow, we grab that.
That's a good thing then. So you're not really missing the ski fields too much just yet.
Well, not at the moment. I mean, we'll see. We usually have a domestic season, which is in June, July, August, September, more so July onwards. So we'll see if this situation has affected that. But we'll see. Like we have plans in place that if it doesn't happen, then we'll keep hitting targets somewhere else. So yeah.
And talk us through your journey so far. Obviously, you've represented Australia on a couple of occasions, as I mentioned at the start. In the Winter Olympics, you've also been a 4-time world champion. Talk us through the Belle Brockhoff story and I guess how you end up representing Australia.
Well, like my parents, they've had a lot to do with like the starting up the lift companies at Mount Buller, and they've always been in skiing. So when I was born, my mum was skiing quite a bit, and then when I was 3 years old, they put me on skis. And then when I was 10, they gave me my first snowboard, which was really cool. And I haven't really looked back since. So I've kind of been thrown into it. But my mum still got me to do all kinds of sports. I just had a lot of fun kind of sliding around.
And it's a pretty daredevil sport though. I must say I've never snowboarded before. I've skied, I've water skied, never snowboarded, and probably a good thing because I'm pretty young. I'd probably stack it and hurt myself pretty badly. You must be a real daredevil though, wanting to do such a sport and start at such a young age.
Yeah, look, you get into situations where you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and a lot of the time, like, I mean, I've done it my whole life. Like, I've done it I'm 27 now, so I've done it for 17 years, which is a long time. So what people see is like a daredevil sort of thing is quite normal because we've done so much training just to do that one thing. But there are situations where you do get a little bit scared, but you kind of have to push through it and just remind yourself that you can do it.
And I mentioned at the start as well, you've been to 2 Winter Olympic Games. What a thrill it must be to represent Australia at the Winter Olympics, and I guess going forward, you've got many more to come as well.
Yeah, like it's quite different. I mean, we don't have as many competitors at the Olympic Games because it's like top 4 in the country that get to go, and sometimes there's like 8 athletes on the team, just female or just male. So, some people get cut from that, but it's pretty unreal. We get to showcase our sport, which is awesome. We don't often get to have such a big platform come around that often. And yeah, like it's just there's so many distractions, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
And have you had any, big stacks, or have you been pretty lucky so far in your career?
Oh yeah, no, I have. I've actually like this. I had a good season. I had 5 podiums out of 6 World Cups, and my worst result all year is 4th place. So that was big. I had a win, which was awesome. But that was my first. Thank you. That was my first season back from two knee blowouts and 2 years out of the sport, which a lot of people who don't follow me don't know. Like they just see, this girl's just gotten a bunch of medals, but like they don't realize that I've spent 2 years out of the sport rehabbing a knee injury and then learning to basically teach my leg how to walk again and then come back on snow and compete. So that involved a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment, and just a lot of boring fucking rehab that was just so tedious and really did my head in. But it taught me a lot of patience But in the end, like it was, I look back, it's like, wow, that was worth it. Like I've had my best season yet. That's something that I'm really proud of. So
Well
yeah,
done on that.
that
It's
was pretty
obviously it's a true sign of your resilience, and it's great to see you getting those rewards for hard work. And yeah, it must be really frustrating. I've been injured in footy quite a few occasions with ankles and had to watch from the
cool.
sidelines.
Oh,
Nothing to your extent, and there's just nothing more frustrating. You just want to get back out there, don't you?
yeah, you do, and then like you're like, oh, I'm better than this person, or I could have done that better than them, or I just want to get involved, and this looks like so much fun, and you get so caught up in that. So, I mean, I guess for me, like I had that, but I kind of stuck to the sidelines and kind of watched and observed and like took notes down on where, like I just learned more things, I guess, from watching than doing. And that's where I guess the season happened for me. Yeah.
And I mentioned at the start as well that you've got a relationship with Carly Post, who does great work with the digital athlete in terms of empowering and educating athletes, which is really important in terms of social media. What's your relationship been like with Carly?
It's been pretty cool. I mean, we've only met on LinkedIn, and that's a funny thing about LinkedIn. You just meet a bunch of people that are associated with different people that you know, and you're like, oh, that's cool, and you just start chatting, and yeah, we just started talking, and she said, oh, do you want to help me out with this thing? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll answer a few questions and whatnot, and then we've just been chatting since. Like, she's really cool, and she's going to send me a few links where I can come in and listen to some of her, I guess, Zoom lectures about media and how to present yourself, and that's something that I'm looking forward to because, like, as an athlete, I rely on social media to kind of get my face out there and then my story, and also generate an income as well through there. So I just want to, maximize that as best as possible. And Carly has a lot of knowledge in that area, which is awesome.
Yeah, wonderful. Obviously, social media has we see the best and the worst of it. You see lots of great stuff, and you see, unfortunately, lots of bad stuff with all the trolls out there. What sort of advice do you have for other athletes and stuff going forward in terms of, I guess, dealing with social media, especially those young ones who love to get on the Instagram and do their Instagram stories or your TikTok dances and things like that, and can easily be, I guess, we're open to just these trolls. What sort of advice do you have for athletes?
Whatever you're going to put out there, you're going to get something back, whether it's positive or negative. So that's totally up to you on how you want to handle that. But also know that the stuff that you're putting out there is to people that you know, and also people that you have never met and probably never will meet in your entire life. And if it's positive things to say about you, awesome, take that on board. That's a great ego booster. It's great for self-confidence. But if it's negative, like, you just have to take it so lightly because they don't know you as a person. And I think when someone puts out a pretty vague criticism about you, whether it's about your looks or I guess whatever it may be, could be how you dress, it's not a really good indicator of how intelligent they are by just saying that stuff. It's just having a jab at who you are. And if someone wants to have a real go at you, they probably want to do it in person, or it's someone close to you. And if it's someone close to you, then you probably want to investigate, why is this, or can I improve somehow, in a constructive sort of way, or unless it's just banter, But with the bullying and then the trolling, it's really important to call it out. And the beauty about social media, we have this platform that we can call it out, and not just kind of like throw hate back at it. I know a lot of people will do a retweet or kind of call them out by saying, oh, this is what this person said, and then a bunch of people will throw hate on them. It's not the right way to go. I think kind of pointing out why this isn't a good thing, and then educating people on why it isn't and how to fix it, rather than just kind of throwing back the same sort of stuff.
Yeah, well answered, because obviously mental health is such a big thing these days, and it's really sad because athletes, particularly footy players, and with it being men's or women's, more of them are starting to quit their sports because they're just having so many issues with social media and mental health, which is just so sad. I guess, what sort of advice do you have for these athletes? I mean, they shouldn't be going off social media just because of these idiots, but it seems like the only sort of situation and scenario that what they can do going forward to prevent this sort of stuff from happening.
Well, I can relate to the whole hate stuff. I've had forums start up to put hate on me, and that sucks to read. Like, you read it, you're like, what the hell is going on here? But I don't think it's a good thing to just kind of, I guess, block it or get rid of it. In terms of like having a social media platform, I think that doesn't solve the issue. You always need to put yourself first. So if you're feeling down or like pressed for a number of days, weeks, or where it may be, it's important to reach out and make people aware of that, especially people who are in your corner who can assist you or put you on to people that can help you with that. But it's all about, it's taking the responsibility of also educating people about it. You know, that's my big thing about it, but also putting yourself first to make sure that you're okay, and then trying to step up into that leadership role and educating people about it. I mean, we're already, like, naturally people think of us as leaders because we've made it to the top of our sport. But I think, you know, we also have a responsibility to, you know, do good where we can.
Yeah, absolutely, well said. Because, yeah, it's such a sad situation that athletes have to go through this. But unfortunately, like we mentioned before, we see the best and worst in social media. But we should go to something that's more of a positive thing to talk about. And one of the best ever footballers to play in the AFL and also the Western Bulldogs was Brad Johnson. And he recently reached out to you. Tell us more about that and your relationship with him.
Yeah, so he started up a garment company, which is really cool, and it was for you know, he went to a football match and watched a lot of girls getting slammed while playing footy. A lot of them rocked up pretty sore after the game, and then I guess their recovery rate afterwards from those impacts was slower than people who didn't have that many impacts. So he and his partner came up with a garment that protected the ribs and breast area as well, and the girls found that they felt a lot more like fresher after a game with it, rather than without it. So it reduced the impact. And when you get, like, you know, if you get like a corky in the leg, that takes a while to recover from. So when we cop something like for a girl, when we cop something to like the chest, ribs, guys, same with ribs, it can be quite painful, and the comeback from that can take a couple of days. So if you can minimize that and maximize recovery, then that's awesome. Then you can maximize your performance or training or whatever it may be as an athlete. So he's come up with a garment brand called, I think it's called Xena. I haven't actually been told in person what it is, but I don't know, it just reminds me of, you know, Xena the Princess Warrior. Just reminds me of that straight away when I heard about it. So that was really cool. I was like, oh, that was badass. So yeah. And that's like the beauty of what I get to do as an athlete, is work with different brands. You know, the OWI, I work with them really well, and they've given me some, you know, amazing opportunities to further enhance my athletic career, which is awesome. And then other brands like Mark Adams has been a support of mine since I was 12, which is huge, because having that support and feeling that support as a young, developing athlete has been amazing, and has really helped me gain confidence and in myself to be able to get to where I want to be. So that's just awesome, and just to give my knowledge to help protect women from impact in sports is just another great thing. I also wear body armor as well, like full shoulders, elbows, helmet. I don't have the chest protection, so I will be very happily using their garment underneath my current body armor. Back brace, tailbone protector, and quad protector, all protected. Yeah, it's not because I crash. I do crash, but like it's because if I do crash and someone runs into the back of me or hits me, I want to make sure that everything is like protected, just so I don't end up with an injury, or injury could be worse if I didn't have a body armor on. So yeah, it's a good thing.
I think that's taken the cake. That's more than gridiron players, cricket players. That is all true. Smashed it out of the park.
Conditions, like, some people think, oh, you're so soft, but like when you go to some resorts, some of the snow conditions are quite wet, and it freezes to bulletproof ice over the night at nighttime, because it gets hot through the day. Nighttime the temperature drops, so it freezes. And in our sport, bordercross, they salt the snow, meaning that, you know, when you put salt on snow, it freezes over and hardens the snow. So when you crash, it really hurts.
I know exactly how
like,
you feel. Like even snow skiing as a kid, I remember like landing on hard ice, and it's not fun. So imagine going 100 miles an hour like you guys are doing, having a big stack after doing a flip. That's even worse.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so
Yep.
it's good that he's done that. Even like copying an elbow to the ribs, that can hurt.
Yeah, it's such a brutal sport, snowboarding, because this is why I've got so much respect for you and those that do the sport, because you're not only dealing with these big jumps and stacks and this sort of thing, you're also dealing with the other athletes that can just, there's no rules in snowboarding. It's pretty epic. It's like a footy game combined with snowboarding in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And like we're all like, we've got like a time frame and these obstacles we have to go through, and there's total 4 athletes going down at the same time, and we're all fighting for the same rough line, which can be a lot of carnage. So there's quite a bit of contact. We can't like punch each other, otherwise I'll be winning every World Cup, I'll tell you what. But it's more like kind of like you just kind of let them know that you're there, as like more of a safety sort of perspective. So yeah, but things can get hairy. Like I've had one girl's, as we've gone off the jump together, I've just looked to my left as I was going forward, and I could see her base of her snowboard facing my head, and I literally just grabbed it midair and just pushed her down, and she landed, which was awesome. We both made it through to the next heat, which was insane. Like I'll have to dig up the footage, but it was the craziest thing I've ever kind of experienced in the air, grabbing someone's board and like repositioning their body in the air.
That's amazing. What a cool story. And what sort of training's involved? You mentioned before you do a fair bit of gym, but what sort of training's involved in being a professional snowboarder, Belle?
It's all-round fitness. So I mean, the rehab I think is pretty similar across all sports. I do strength with upper body, lower body, like whole body strength, explosive power, agility, plyos, cardio, interval training. I also mix in my own I have my own theories of trainings, and I love boxing. So I do a lot of boxing. I've done that for a couple of years now. My boxing coach wants me to compete, but I'm like, okay, well, I've already had 8 knocks to the head, so I don't really want to, and then I also do a lot of AFL training now, especially last year I picked it up and I loved it. And I think that was I guess that 1% that I needed to get my knee back to where it was and used to landing in different positions, jumping up, grabbing the ball, landing on one leg, which was my right leg or left leg, but focusing on my right leg, it would get used to landing in positions that aren't controlled. So like my theory is like I've got boxing and footy training, which is like agility training, reaction training, hand-eye coordination, a mix of that. Then there's agility training that's in your gym, which is, ladder work, running around cones or whatever it may be. That's so controlled. You know how fast you're going to go through a ladder. You know where the squares are, where the cones are. Whereas if you're playing, one-on-one with someone, training with them, or, you have a boxing coach throwing punches at you, that's out of your control. You just have to react, which is border cross. There's throughout the people around you. You got the wind that could, you could have headwind, you could have tailwind. You've got different snow conditions. You've got visibility. It could be snowing. You got different conditions, like whether it could be ice, it could be soft snow. You have to make sure that you're focusing on all these things, but also what you have to do now and then where you're placing your board, and also knowing to being ready to react at any second if something happened. So yeah, that's just my rant on training. So mixing everything to answer your question.
No, you've answered very well. And you're also studying outside of doing your snowboarding. What are you studying at the moment, and where to sort of post-snowboarding career?
I have no idea what I'm going to do post-snowboarding career, but I thought commerce would be a good one to start with. I'm actually really enjoying it. And I'm having a really big interest in law. So I'll probably start doing a double degree or bachelor of commerce and law, just because for some reason I found law very interesting, which is weird because in school I'd always make fun of the kids interested in law. So yeah, doing commerce right now, and then eventually I'll start the law subjects and go from there. So it's just, commerce is good. It's just so broad with everything. There's marketing, there's management, there's economics, there's finance, there's law. There's all kinds of things. It's like a bachelor of adulting almost.
Good choice, and like I said before, I think it's a good industry to get into because there's always jobs in that, and the situation we're in with COVID-19, so many people losing their jobs. Commerce is something that's always going to be around, so I think you head in the right direction there, as well as law.
Yeah, absolutely. And law, it touches us every single day, whether it's with sponsorship contracts or reading your terms. Now I'm reading terms and conditions before I click. Isn't that weird? That's weird. And whether you're renting or whatever it may be, like it's everywhere. So I'm just finding all these fascinating things about it.
And where to from here? You've told me off there that you want to be number one in the world. What do you have to do to get to that next stage and call yourself number one snowboarder in the world, Belle?
Oh God. We got really close the last season, I'll tell you what. But it's good. It's good motivation to not finish first. It's just a lot of hard work, and I think you always hear that. You just have to work so damn bloody hard, but also know why you're training hard and what you're training hard in specifically, not just like kind of going at it super hard, but more like, okay, so this is what I need to work really hard on, and then this thing as well, like training smart is what I'm trying to say, not just training for the sake of it, just knowing, having goals, hitting those targets every training block or every week or day or whatever it may be, and just making sure you're hitting those targets rather than kind of like not, I guess. So I do love like having fitness testing every so often to make sure that I'm hitting those targets and making sure that I'm getting to where I want to be. And then also like exploring outside the box. So like for me, that's my boxing and footy training. The footy training is quite new. Like I've always kicked the ball around. I love kicking footy. I travel with a football. So like we get all the Europeans around it and they can't kick it because they're used to like soccer. They smoke us in soccer, but like when it comes to AFL, like, no chance. So it's good, and since I've been in the sport for so long and training, my sports scientist, he gives me, he's trusted me with creating my own programs, and kind of like, with guidance with him, figure out what I need in it. So that's been really cool. Like this last month and a half, I've been writing my own program because I know what I need to do for this first few months. And then starting this month, which is today or tomorrow, Monday, he'll send me a program where I need to start kind of putting on muscle in certain areas. Like my right leg is quite small compared to my left leg. So yeah, that's cool.
And we've seen quite a few girls over the last few years go across from basketball to footy and other sports to, like, even volleyballers have gone across to play AFLW. You mentioned that you've got a bit of an interest in footy. Could we ever see Belle Brockhoff playing in AFLW?
Yeah, I was really close. I was really thinking about having a crack. I mean, there's always that opportunity, but the girls have become very strong quite quickly in the last couple of years, which is awesome to see. It's awesome to see so many girls participating. So maybe earlier on I could have made the jump, but now it would be quite hard because there's some really good young guns coming through. I'm actually mentoring one of them who's doing both border cross and AFLW, and she's a freak. Like she's 15, so I'm kind of mentoring her like to do well in both, and I'm mentoring her more on the mental side, because mental game it's the same across all sports. Doesn't matter what it is. It's just more the skill that's different. Body and skill's different in every sport. So yeah, like love to have a teammate, but also love to see her just fucking dominate in AFLW or border cross, whatever it may choose. Like it's just as long as your heart's there, But maybe after snowboarding, I'll probably do a few local matches, but nothing too high end.
Love it.
I've already had two knee injuries. I don't want to risk another because like that's hardcore.
I know what you mean. Yeah, but my ankles are absolutely stuffed. I walk around the block and I'm always worried about rolling my ankles. They're that way.
Yeah.
Well, Belle, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Legends with Bevo today. Thanks so much for giving us your time and talking about your career so far. And I wish you all the very best with your studies and obviously the lead up into the Winter Olympics in a couple of years' time. And we'll speak again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
To Legends with Bevo. Thanks to the Holdie Hotel, Coopers, and Anytime Fitness Glenelg.